Hey guys, Paul Synthmania. I'm here with my good friend Peter.
Hi everyone.
Thank you, Peter, for having us. We are in his studio, and he's got a lot of super cool stuff. And he's originally a guitarist, so in addition to synthesizer, also he has a lot of excellent guitars. But we'll take a look. All right, Peter, thank you so much for having me. And first thing I wanted to ask you, you started as a guitar player, not necessarily as a keyboard player, right?
Yes and no, actually.
Okay.
So, my first synth was actually a Casio CZ1000 that I got back in about 1985.
Same as me.
Right, yeah. So for Christmas for my parents, and my parents were like, what the heck are you going to do with that thing? So I made a lot of noise over the years, and then, of course, this was in the 80s, and then as the 90s came along, of course, grunge became big, and things like Sonic Youth and noise bands, which I really liked and really gravitated to. So at that point, I started teaching myself guitar. And played in a band in high school and recorded a demo tape and shopped it around. It was tape back then, so the cassette tape. And even snuck into Sony Records to drop off our tape in Manhattan. And you know, played guitar actually for a number of years.
Because originally you're from New York, right?
I am from New York originally, yes. So really played guitar for a number of years throughout college and after college. But then afterwards, kind of moving down where we are now in Maryland, the synth bug started to get at me again. The Casio CZ1000 had been long gone, much to my disappointment. And I really started getting back into synths again. And I started essentially with Arturia and the Arturia Mini Brute, which I thought was a really good start for getting back into analog synths.
I love that one.
Again.
Yeah. Sure. And as you can see on this wall here, I want to talk about the guitar. Before we delve into the synths, I know this is a synth channel primarily, but I also play the guitar and the bass. I know we both play that. So you have a slew of wonderful guitars. If you wanted to give us a little detail of what these guitars are.
Yeah, sure. So this is one of the newer ones in my collection. This is an Epiphone, and it's an arch top. And we were just talking before, and one of the reasons I like arch tops is because they're a little bit less, they are a lot less boomy than, for instance, your kind of traditional acoustic guitar, where it has a lot more mid-range. And the nice part about this, too, is it does also have a pickup on the inside. So you can go straight into a board with this, and you can get, not only do you get kind of nice mid-range with it, but you also get, you kind of get the higher end with the strings as well with your strumming. So it's a really, really nice guitar.
Fantastic.
This was a bass I bought for my wife back in shortly after we got married.
She was in the band too?
She was not in the band. My wife is the product of a traditional hardcore Russian piano teacher, and unfortunately gave it up because it was a very kind of military style of learning.
Yeah, I have one of those too. My teacher when I was a child was German. His name was Brown. I still remember.
Well, we've been back. My wife's in Pennsylvania, and we've been back, and now this woman has a big school, so she's a very reputable and wonderful person, but the two of them just didn't gel that she kept on with it throughout her life. But anyway, so we tried, you know, it wasn't like we were going to be beach house or anything, but, you know, we were kind of trying, you know, just to have fun. This is actually a Fender Bullet.
Oh, yes, bass. A smaller version.
So a short scale bass from the 1980s. And the thing that's unusual about this one is it's actually American made. Right?
Oh, okay.
So most of the bullets that you will see, here, I can take it out. So most of the bullets that you'll find are Japan made, which are fine instruments as well. I have a lot of Japanese guitars. But this one, it is the short scale, and I did put a nice Babix bridge on it, so it gives it really good, holds tune really well, and the intonation really well. And these strings are flat wound strings.
Oh, very cool. It's got that vintage Motown
sound. So Motown or like Paul McCartney or something like that. So a really nice rounded tone rather than sometimes the buzz that you get. And that was just because what the music I was into at the time and what I like to play. So it's been years since these strings have been changed. But
beautiful bass.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And the nice you know, kind of mocha color.
Yeah, I love bass. As you know, it's my second instrument, and I know what we're waiting for in a couple months, but that's going to be another topic.
Yes, exactly. So this is a Fernandez, and this is a sustainer guitar, right?
Yeah.
So This is basically a company out of Japan who makes a number of instruments, and I'm sure people have heard of them before. And the nice part about this is it has a sustainer circuit on it where when you switch it on, the tone actually then serves as you can control the level of essentially an electromagnetic field that is brought about via the bridge, the neck pickup,
Oh, that's so cool.
which then causes infinite sustain. Right. So it's kind of the cheap man's Moog guitar. It's a really, really nice option, and you can find these now on the internet for about $500 or something. So.
Fantastic. And then you have a bunch of our favorite guitars,
the
Jazz Masters.
Yeah, so the Telly I had because I don't know, you just have to have a Telly, I guess.
Yeah.
But really, I'm an offset body. If you can't tell, like an offset body.
Sorry, I skipped the Telly.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. Telly's really nice. It's a 72 Telly Deluxe reissue. Nice. Mexican model, and I usually do all my mods on it where I swap out like the tuners and the tree strings and all that, but usually the pickups are stock pickups.
Gotcha. Beautiful guitar.
But this is my pride and joy.
Yep.
So this one, this is Japanese Fender Jazz Master from about 1991.
Oh, gorgeous.
This is the one that I played my original band with, and it has had a number of mods, including the tuners. But here, there's a guy in New Jersey whose name I can't remember, but he has this pickup set actually for the Jazz Master where he calls them J180s. So they're like P190s basically, or P90s, excuse me. And the nice part about it too is he actually converts this switch up here into something actually functional instead of kind of the tone cut that you normally get with the Jazz Master. So it's actually a boost. So you actually get a boost with switching this in the up position.
Oh, fantastic. So you don't have to use an external overdrive or a booster. Really.
Exactly. It's clean. It's clean. It's a little dirty. But for the most part clean, and it gives you a nice boost.
Nice.
This was another, because I love Jazz Masters.
I love this one. When you sent me the photo of this one, it's just it's gorgeous guitar.
It's beautiful, and I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
So this was a reissue that Fender Japan did a couple of years ago, probably about 3 years ago or so. And at the time, I was playing a lot of like kind of psychedelic type of music, and it just really spoke to me. They have another one that's kind of like almost like a Prince style, like Paisley.
Oh, Paisley,
Paisley one. But this was the one for me. So it's pretty much stock with the exception of the bridge and the trem or vibrato, depending on your terminology. That I swapped out, and this is Mastery. And this is a really great company. Really makes really high quality stuff.
Gotcha. It's a beauty, Peter. I love it. And I have one. Mine is just black and just not as fancy as that one.
And then the last one is the Starcaster.
Yes.
So the Starcaster, this is a reissue as well. This is also, is this Mexican made? No, this is made in China, actually.
Okay.
So Fender's really kind of, I think come along in terms of, I know they're manufacturing overseas now in different places. This is a really nice instrument. They really did a really great job with this. It is offset just kind of like the Jazz Master, but I wanted a hollow body. I used to have an Epiphone Casino, and I liked it, but of course I wanted something more with the offset shape. So this has been modded, once again, with locking tuners, but also I put a Duesenberg trem on this. So Duesenberg is a really nice company, makes great guitars. This is a trem system that usually goes with a Les Paul, and the nice part is you don't have to modify your guitar, actually. So it just kind of fits on.
So you use the same bridge that was there before?
Exactly. Okay, you just swap it out, and this has kind of felt on the bottom, so you don't have to drill the body, you don't have to damage the body or anything. So it's a really nice trem.
And it stays in tune.
Stays in tune really well. And the locking tuners, which I put on all my guitars, is also another reason that
helps.
These things stay really, really in tune. And the Graph Tech nut also stays in tune really well.
Beautiful. All right, Peter, so that was it for the guitars. You have a great collection, and now let's look at the amplifiers and the effects that you have. Also very, very impressive here.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of shoegaze or dream pop and things like that. Things where when we eventually get to talking about synths, you can understand because they share a lot in common with this, with like pads and very ethereal sounds. So,
yes.
So I've been building this pedal collection over the years, and things have kind of made their way in and out in terms of what I have on my board. But currently I have two boards. I have one board that's essentially kind of a drive board, And then my other board is essentially a modulation board. So the drive board will go directly into the amps, and the modulation board will run through the loop, the effects loop in the amp.
I see.
Very cool. So,
and again, you have a lot of stuff. Like I see the usual suspects of the Big Muff.
Yeah.
The
That's
whammy.
the Billy Corgan reissue. He's a big fan of those Big Muffs. I guess they were from. It's the op amp one. So it's just got a really nice tone and.
Yeah. And I heard great things about the Loomer. Also, it's because I know we both love shoegaze, and this is made for that tone, right?
Exactly.
What does it have exactly?
So this is a My Bloody Valentine. Loomer refers to My Bloody Valentine, and this is a pedal that has essentially a number of reverbs in it, or shimmer type of reverbs, and reverse reverb and a hall reverb, and that's combined with a fuzz in a single pedal. And this is Keeley. Keeley makes really great stuff.
I have one of their compressors. It's just top notch.
Exactly, and it just has really nice sound. There are ways, I think, that you can actually route it in terms of whether you want your reverb sound before before the distortion or after distortion. But this is like a really nice shoegaze. It's basically shoegaze in a box.
It really sounds like My Bloody Valentine.
Actually, try to do the My Bloody Valentine. You really need the trim.
Those are Jazz Chorus 40. It cranks.
Yeah.
Holy cow. All right, so you have plenty of distortion on this one.
Yep.
And then what's this Electro Harmonics box here?
So it's a looper.
It's a looper.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So the 95,000, right, is their most recent looper that they put out. And my wife and I would go and see a lot of bands in Washington, D.C. And one band that we went to see is a band called L1011. And L1011 is essentially two guys, a guitar/bass player, because he plays a double neck, and then a drummer.
Okay.
And this guy uses a looper. He would use the boomerang, actually.
Okay.
And you could not tell. You thought you were listening to a band of like 4 or 5 people, because the way he would kind of set up his loops and transition between loops is just amazing. I really suggest people check him out.
Very cool. I'll definitely check it out myself, because I'm in the market for a looper. I haven't decided yet, so this one I'm gonna check it out. All right, and then we have the Modulation pedal board. And I have a big Sky myself. I love that unit.
Wonderful.
And then you have a Space Echo and a Freeze, Eventide Mob Factor. Very cool.
Yes, a very nice pedal.
Yeah. And then here you have a guitar synth, the SY300.
So it all comes back to synth. So at one point I did have one of those synth pickups actually installed in one of my guitars. They're usually installed near the bridge. And it was fun, but this came out over the years, and this actually takes your signal directly and actually turns it into a synthesized signal. So tracking is really great on this. Polyphony is really great. It's a really, really nice pedal. It's I think it's one of the best things that Boss has released. They have a newer one, which I think is the SY1000, which I haven't even looked at yet. But this is just a wonderful pedal. And the other thing too I like about this is, with my collection, which we'll talk about, I like synthesis. I don't necessarily like samples. There's nothing wrong with samples, but admittedly, whenever I watch a synth video and someone starts playing and it's a piano sound, like that's not what gets me excited.
Yeah. Synthesizers, it kind of goes with the name. You gotta synthesize.
Right. So this is a great pedal because you actually synthesize. You can actually, and it hooks up to a laptop if you want that type of interface. So really wonderful.
All right, before we talk about the amps, I see you have more effects here. Just for thoroughness here. Vox. This is a Gakken little synthesizer, little ribbon. Very cool.
Little ribbon synth.
How do you like that one?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really.
And then analog choruses, a stylophone. I have one of these. It's fantastic.
Yeah, those
also
are great.
The stylophone, sonic stomp, and vintage phaser. Of course, the classic Boss pedals. I have a ton of those myself.
Yeah.
You have the June 60. How'd you like the June 60? That's a reproduction of the Juno 60 chorus, right?
So I like it a lot. I tend to use it for more synths rather than guitars. Some people complain it's a little bit noisy. I haven't had that as much experience with it being noisy. So I do like it. And it's a pretty inexpensive pedal as well. So.
Is that mono in and stereo out, or is it got stereo?
I don't remember actually. So it is mono.
Mono, okay. Because I think I've read there is a version comment that's going to be stereo.
That's going to be stereo.
Sure. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, going to the amplifier section, and here, I don't know much about amplifiers, so this is a Katana.
Yeah, so this is a Boss Katana. Once again, really low priced, and I don't work for Boss, by the way, but really low priced amp. Once again, you can, and it's very light. So when I would go and play with friends or play gigs and stuff, it was really easy to bring around.
Sure.
The other thing is it has this amp modeling, which you can hook up to your laptop and just makes it really easy for the interface.
And then, of course, the classic jazz chorus. Roland.
So this is my newer one, and the over there is my old one.
Oh, okay. They're both 40, or
this is the original one is the 40.
77.
This is a 77. So once again, it doesn't weigh as much as a 120, which is great. Easy to move around. Beautiful chorus sounds. The only difference is I don't think this one actually does not have an effects loop.
Okay.
So Roland was very smart when they were reissuing these and or continuing to make them actually, where they actually put an effects loop in some of the lower grade models.
I gotcha. This is the Jazz Chorus 40 vibrato? Yeah. And then in the middle, of course, is the AC30. I assume that's...
So I started with an AC15. This is a beautiful tube amp. It's, people describe it as chimey.
Yes.
And really kind of holds, a lot of sustaining, ringing out things really well. Really, really nice. You can get a lot of tones out of it. Just a really great solid amp.
Yeah, it's something that I wanted to get myself because as we both love the Joy Division sound, Bernard Sumner used a Vox amplifier at the very beginning, and through the history of the band. So I do have a Fender Twin Reverb, which has a very clean sound. It doesn't have that chime that the Vox has, but so eventually I wouldn't mind to get one of those. All right, guys, I think we're done talking about guitars and amps. Let's go to the core of the matter here, which is synths and drum machines and effects. You have plenty of those as well. So up here, I see Yamaha RX of some kind.
Yeah, so that was something I found that actually locally from a guy who was selling it, and the really nice part I like about the RX. This is make it easy for people. This is what the RX-5.
So yeah, I have
the nice
one
part
of those,
about the 5 is you can individually control the levels just with sliders, essentially.
Yeah, I love this box myself.
And it's a really good box, really solid drum sounds. And it, in terms of its MIDI communication abilities, it works really well with old gear, with new gear. So really nice drum machine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then here, a TR-505, also a classic drum machine of the 80s. It's like the baby brother of the 707.
Exactly. And
Same sound.
that was the first drum machine that we had in our band.
Okay.
Actually, back in the 80s. Before, that was the synth-based band. That wasn't the guitar-based band.
And actually, this one had both percussion and real drum sound. So it's like a combination of 707 and 727.
Yeah.
And here is both a drum machine we both love.
I love this.
The DR55 and New Order.
The New Order, Depeche Mode original,
Depeche Mode,
where they used to, between songs, used to just switch the dial.
Yep.
Just really nice, really solid drum machine. You can still find them around on your favorite bidding sites. Really nice, battery powered.
Yeah, and it takes effects very well, I've noticed.
It does.
Like reverb. And this is, I love this one. I want to get one of these so badly.
This is my pride and joy. Well, I don't know. I probably have many. Well, that would be my children, really. But this is such a wonderful drum box. There's two versions of it. There's the 55 and there's the 55B.
Yeah.
I like the 55 better because the options in terms of the rhythms that you get, I think, are at least more conducive to the type of music that I like to play or make.
Sure.
And this is the Depeche Mode Speak and Spell.
Speak and Spell, the very beginning,
right.
yeah.
So the snare on this is, the bass I think was probably from the ARP 2600, but the snare is from this. There's a song on the first Depeche Mode album called Photographic.
Yes,
right?
of course. Yeah.
So this, of course, is the famous, it's KR55, right? And the setting is Disco 1, where they basically use it just straight off the machine.
Gotcha. That's so cool.
So I don't know if I was in time as much as the sequencer would be.
Oh no, we're perfect. Yeah, it was perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah, it's a great machine.
Sounds just like the record. Wow. Yeah, I know they use the Yamaha CS5 too.
Yeah.
And the Moog
Prodigy, I think.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got that sound.
And it's got that great
80s.
sound, and the sync here on the back is, you can trigger out to your synths and things like that, or your arpeggiators, which I learned, of course, from Paolo.
Well, yeah, it's like it doesn't connect to. I think Korg and Yamaha go well together.
Yes.
But if you want to connect it to a roller, you're out of luck. You gotta use an adapter.
So I use this with my with something we'll talk about later.
Okay, sounds great. Very cool. And here, two more drum machines, the CR8000.
Yep, so the old and the new. So the CR8000 has just I wanted something not only which would have fixed rhythms, but something that you could actually program. So you can actually program here either rests or hits on this drum machine. And it seems to be, or it was suggested to be kind of the successor to, is it the CR78? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
the
78.
CR78, the famous Phil Collins, drum machine. Or Hall & Oates is the other one, right? Just a really nice solid drum machine. Once again, also with trigger outs, which you can connect to a lot of your Roland gear.
Sure. And then here, something much more modern, the Drum Brute.
Yeah, so the Drum Brute, I got this a couple of years ago. I really liked it. People complain about the snare. I shouldn't say that. People have opinions about the snare, I should say it that way.
Sure.
That it for some people it doesn't seem to work for them. But I like it. It's a good machine. Arturia makes really great stuff. I'm really glad that this French company has really started to put out these analog instruments.
Agree,
again.
yeah.
Great connectivity.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a drum set, a real electronic drum set by Alesis. Which model is this one?
So this is the DX10.
DX10.
Oh, sorry, D10X or something? I can't remember.
Okay.
DM10X. That's what it is. DM10X. Yeah. And the nice part about this was this is a really good kind of mid-level kit, meaning like it's about like maybe $700 or $800, but it has the mesh.
It's got the mesh. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Which makes a big difference, especially for your bounce. I am not much of a drummer. My son is.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing is that when my son took drum lessons, he became really good and really proficient, but he never learned how to tune his drums. So we actually replaced an acoustic kit with this for many reasons, but now he doesn't have to tune his drums. He will learn eventually. But.
Super cool. All right, we are in another section of Peter's studio, and up here I see some. Sorry,
you're good.
I want to break anything.
Oh,
see, Boss D200. That's the digital delay. Oh
yeah. So I really like this unit. Unfortunately, one of the posts on one of the pots actually, or it's the time selector. I think actually broke. So I'm waiting to get it repaired, but I really love this because it has really cool modulation where you kind of get this kind of floating away sound for the repeats that you get in the delay.
And then one of the last few people on earth who has a cassette player.
Yeah, it's just a combo cassette player and a DVD player, which I use periodically.
Oh, it's got a DVD also. Yeah, CD. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is my favorite synthesizer of all time. Of them all, the Roland D50.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the D50?
So this was also, this is something I got a couple of months ago from an individual who was selling it from an estate sale and really didn't know how it worked. And
it's a very complex
but even the patches were wiped. The battery was dead. You turned it on, you got that error message. So I had to go through and open it up. The great thing about it is these are really easy to fix. So, open it up, replace the battery, and then, of course, thanks to the internet, they have these patches which you can download. I did not do factory patches. There are actually a number of other different banks that you can download that are a little bit more kind of pad-based or cinematic.
Sure.
So that's essentially what I have on this machine.
Beautiful. Yeah, I remember repairing the keyboard on the D50 many years ago. It's got all that. It's the Panasonic type keyboard with all those little...
Yeah, the little contacts.
Yeah, contacts that look like an octopus.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool. Like a drum brute Impact, another drum machine.
Yeah, this is another great drum machine. Nice part is it has this FM drum where you can kind of adjust the pitch, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, very cool. I don't have one of these. I need to check them out. I've seen them. And here, I do have this drum machine just like you. The DD1, love it. And do you have any cards that go with it?
So I don't actually. I got this maybe a couple of months ago from an individual who was just getting rid of it, basically. For a family member. I can't find any of the cards, but this has a really nice snare on it. I really enjoy this drum machine. I was very surprised. I bought it, just by looking at videos on YouTube, and I really like the sound of it, and I wasn't disappointed when it arrived.
Yeah, it's definitely got that fat middle 80s sound. Next time you're in my studio, I have 4 cards that you can check out.
Oh, cool.
Get the jazz. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Before we move on to the next section of the studio, I want to talk about these books really quickly. But I see you have a lot of cool books on tape. Okay. This is the book that they made about tape up. I have all the individual thing. Mixing Secrets.
Great magazine.
Yeah. Of course, your guitar, electronic circuit manual, basic electronics. Very cool. All right. Obviously, you're a tinkerer. You like to.
I try. I don't know how successful I am, but I try.
Like me too.
Yeah.
All right. Super cool. Here on this side, we have a Kawai MX8R. That's a mixer.
Yes.
And then on the bottom, a MIDI solution. That's a MIDI patch bay, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Casio VZ10M. That's a rack version of the VZ1, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's there's this company called. I think the company's called Coffee Shop. I can't remember whether it's the company or it's the apps that they make, but they make apps for your iPad, etc., as well as for Macs and PCs, where you can actually control, because this is a hard deep dive, in terms of trying to program it.
I used to have it,
harder than the the CZ series. So anyway, that was the reason I picked this up. Pretty cheap. Really nice sounds off of it. It's a let's see, what's the one that everyone likes? I think it's called Sea God.
Oh yeah, I remember it.
So a really nice, really nice sound. So this is really good. It does a lot of kind of your FM style stuff, kind of Yamaha family, but can be very warm as well.
Gotcha. And down below you have the rack version of the Minilog XE.
Yes. Yeah. So this is one of my most recent purchases. It was for my birthday, a birthday gift to myself.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I would say that, I mean, Korg just hit it out of the park, to use a baseball analogy. This has not only 2 analog oscillators, but it also has wavetables as well. And you can actually download, much like the Prologue and the other series, you can download and add your own wavetables. So really, really super cool.
Sky's the limit. You want to give a quick example? Because I saw you had it synced to the drum brute impact.
Yeah, so it turns out that every single sequence on this I could do something with. It was so much fun. So this is what we have going here. Let's see, is it there?
Awesome.
So anyway, I highly recommend it. It's a great unit.
Fantastic. And then here we have the baby brother of the CZ1000. Also love that.
Yep. So this is of course the cousin or the child of the CZ1000 that I unfortunately gotten rid of a couple of years ago. I use this with the CZ patch library.
Oh yes.
Which is really great, as well as sometimes some iPad stuff to do editing. But this is a really great. Leston Lewis, I guess, is the guy who makes this. Really nice patches in here.
Very cool. And then you have a Micro Freak on the bottom there.
Yeah, once again, Arturia. I really love that company. I will continue to support them when they make really wonderful products.
Yeah, I have one and I haven't had a chance yet to really open it, but I will soon. And that you were telling me about that GS1 unit. What is
the
that?
GR1?
The GR1.
Yeah. So this is from a company. I can't remember. I think they're in the UK actually. Yeah. So it's a granular synthesizer.
Yeah.
So once again, with my theme of synthesizers, I actually like synthesis and different modes of synthesis. And granular synthesis is really cool, where complex waveforms are kind of broken down into these little granules, and which are kind of little packets of sound, and they can be large or they can be small, and they can be altered with an LFO in terms of what order you play them in or how you sweep this wave. So really high quality instrument.
Wonderful. I love the huge display on it. It's really cool. All right.
I can play that for a second.
Sure.
Increase the size of the grains, how dense they are. How much of the wave you're actually covering. Oh, of course, pitch. So really, I'm still getting into this. It's just a lot of fun.
Programmer's dream, yeah.
Yes.
And on the bottom, what's that keyboard on the bottom? I don't recognize it at first.
That's because it's a MIDI controller.
Oh, it's a MIDI controller. Oh, yeah.
So
Roland?
So it's a Roland MIDI controller, which kind of has the same feel to like a 106 or something. I like the older controllers because they're just more solidly built. And you can find them for relatively cheap on the internet.
Is this like an MKB or one of those? Or?
It's an MKB 30, I believe. 200. Sorry, 200.
Yeah.
200. Sorry.
And that's a Waldorf Blowfield, also great.
Great for wavetables. Great for analog sounding stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
And then the Strike Fed is the last one.
Ah, okay. Wow.
So that's great. I've been looking for a string synth for a while. I used to own a Roland RS09, but those are kind of tough because back then they weren't making the chips for the chorus, and the chorus would die out.
Yeah.
But I'm on the hunt for a Korg Lambda, so we'll see.
Oh, those are sweet.
One turns up.
Absolutely. All right, now we are in the DAW section of Peter's studio. You have not one but two monitors, and one is curved.
Yeah.
It's how do you like the curved monitors? I never had one on a.
To be honest, I don't really notice the difference.
I
in my work, I do a lot of computer work and like data analysis and things like that. So I have two at work, and that's just how I work now. So I brought the idea home with me.
Yeah, they say it's good for video editing, but I need to get one of those and just try it out for myself to see if I like it. And as far as DAW, I see you're a Logic user?
Yeah, so I use Logic, and it's a really great program. I think I did Cubase for a very long time when I was PC based, but Logic just has everything in the complete package, and you just can't beat it for $199.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a Cubase user myself these days, mainly Cubase, but I do have Logic, and I love it when I'm on the laptop. I usually have a PC as a main computer, and then my laptop is Mac. And then you have a nice Soundcraft mixer?
Yeah, so this is a Soundcraft MTK22. It is an analog mixer, but of course it has interface. You can interface via USB with your PC. And the great part about this is every single channel transmits.
Okay.
So it's not like you're just getting the stereo out. You can actually you can record up to 22 different instruments at once, actually in your DAW.
Wow, fantastic. Super cool. And the speakers are the Rocket?
Yeah, so the Rockets, was it 5s, the KR5s?
I got the 8, yeah.
Yeah, so KRK5s. Really nice. I got them a couple of years ago. I used to plug the bass, the porting of it with socks and stuff to try and lessen the enhanced bass frequency to get a better listen to what I was doing. I haven't done that so much anymore. That probably has to do with my hearing loss over the years, but anyway, really nice near field monitors.
Super cool. And then here we have a really, really interesting piece of gear. And I know you just got this back from repair.
Yeah.
Well, on the top you have one of the original cassette multi-track recorders.
Yeah, so this is the Porta Studio. So I grew up recording on tape, using cassette tape with a 4-track. And this is the Porta Studio 488 MK2. A neighbor gave this to me, actually. Really super nice guy who used this back in the 80s and 90s to record his band. And there have been many bands that recorded on this. And it's high speed, so you get better audio quality, but you burn through tape. But really, really nice machine.
So you have to use like 90-minute tapes, or
you can use 90. You can even use, I think 110s were the longest tapes that you could buy up until tapes went away.
Yeah, basically this for guys of our generation, these were our DAWs back in the days.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew up with a 4-track recorder, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But on the bottom we have a so interesting piece, which is the 388, and this is real.
So this is the the 88 family, the 488 and the 388. So the 388 I just got back from being repaired. So it's repaired by this guy Russ at New Jersey Factory Service. He used to
Thank you, Russ.
Yeah, thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
He used to run the Tascam Repair Factory in northern New Jersey for many years, so since the 80s up until they stopped, making tape-based machines. Russ knows his stuff. He knows everything. He fixed it. He told me everything that was wrong with it and what was missing and what he fixed. So thank you, Russ.
Yeah, these are really cool. I do have a TIAC.
Yes.
8-track recorder myself, and I just even though I'm lazy when it comes to recording on tape because it's too time consuming.
It is.
But these give you that drum sound that you just cannot get with plugins. It's so fat, and these work on half-inch or quarter-inch?
Quarter-inch.
Quarter-inch, okay.
Yeah.
It's in perfect condition. Wonderful.
Yeah. This I found at a storage locker place that was people who abandoned their stuff.
Yeah.
So I bought this off an auction, basically.
Gotcha. Beautiful. All right, on the bottom here, we have the rack mounts. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So, DBX patch bass, and then BB, what do you call it?
Sonic Maximizer.
Sonic Maximizer. Super cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Oh, I love this unit, the Ibanez delay.
Yeah, I saw it. I know they're somewhat hard to find, so I picked it up. It's a delay and pitch shifter. Really nice unit from Ibanez.
And then the SDD 2000. I have one of those.
Exactly.
I love it, yeah.
And that's the reason I picked it up.
Oh, okay. You saw it on the...
I watched your video as well as the Effectron. And
yes.
I was like, those are really nice sounding units.
Yeah, Quadro Vero classic of the 80s.
Yeah.
And what's that? Korg Digital Reverb. Oh, yeah. That's one of the mid-80s digital reverbs from... So
this is this is like an early I want to say like 83 or 84 or something, digital reverb. The thing I like about it is it's very, very simple.
Gotcha.
So it just has a hall It has room, and just everything's in front of you. There's no menu diving, and it's just very simple to operate. I don't necessarily need, for what I do or the fun I have, to do a lot of menu diving and to try and alter, parameters for a sound. So I really like this, very hands-on.
Thank you. All right, guys, now we are in the top part of Peter's studio full of synthesizers. Let's start from left to right. Here we have...
Yeah, so we'll start with the newer stuff. I really like what Behringer has been doing these past couple of years. With I don't own all of their reissues, but I do own a few of them, and they just have really, really good sound.
Yeah, and this is basically their version of the Mini Mode Classic.
Exactly, and it's kind of bringing these sounds to the masses,
yes.
right? Which is something that up until recently wasn't available. So,
yeah, I have one of those, and it's really affordable. It sounds great. And this one is really interesting to me. The Pro One.
Yeah, the Pro One I really like. I think this patchability wasn't as accessible, or wasn't really part of the original Pro One. So I do like that a lot. And as they say with the Pro One, this really recapitulates those really snappy filters.
Yes, I see. It's just the layout is the same as Pro One on the left, and also it's same thing. Very cool. All right, now we're gonna check out the Pro One.
The first Yazoo album.
Yeah, it just sounds like the real thing.
Yeah.
And of course the Wasp.
Yeah.
Also another.
Yeah, so this is really cool. It's digitally controlled oscillators. Really nice sound, very dirty. A couple years ago when I was doing modular, but modular was just a little too distracting for me.
Did you go to the Eurorack
yeah, so I was in Eurorack format for a number of years, and I liked it, but it was really distracting. I like having limitations, and then seeing what I can do with those limitations. So Eurorack is fantastic and really wonderful format, but it just wasn't something that was for me. So I had a Wasp filter on my Eurorack unit, and it just sounded really, really cool. And I was really happy when this came out.
Fantastic. I need to check them out too. Now let's check out the Wasp. Play from this Arturia. Fantastic.
It definitely buzzes.
It does. All right, on the left, also the neutral. I also have one of those, and
Yes.
it's just a lot of synthesis power.
Yes, yes.
Especially with the patch bay to the right.
Yes, a machine unto itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here you got the new version of the style from the Gen R8. How'd you like that one?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's dirty. It has a nice. What I guess people call aggressive. It's an aggressive sounding synth.
It's got two oscillators this time. Right?
It does have two oscillators, right? And the subs can go 2 octaves lower. So it has a really nice beefy sound, and this patchability is really good too. The nice part too is it can interface with the rest of my gear, and then I can use, essentially the portamento and do all sorts of things as if I could afford like a buchla or something. So, but anyway, a really nice piece of gear.
Fantastic. And then a classic synthesizer, right? We can call this a classic, the subsequent 37.
Yeah.
Moog has made several of these types of portable units, always recalling the Mini Moog, but with modern improvements. Of course, the display being one of them. You can save the patches, and it's got that Moog filter sound, which is unmistakable. Can you try to do a demo of the sound? Or?
I could run I could run something on here. Let's see. Oh, this is the. It's going into this. That's fine.
Oh, it's a stylophone.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool too.
So this is the Doctor Who bass.
Oh yeah. That's it.
So it's got a really nice, analog sound. There were updates that they did on the subsequent 37 where this became, they made enhancements to the sequencer and things like that. So as well as the arpeggiator. So really, really nice. Warm mode sound, and then also the envelope generators were kind of instead of like the Model D style, they have kind of the attack, decay, sustained release, where it's a separate knob instead of condensing into the one knob for attack, decay, and sustain on this,
like the original,
like on the reproduction. Yeah, but really, really nice sounding sound.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, another very, very cool section, starting from the top. This is Oberkorn sequencer, right?
Yes, exactly.
Analog solutions?
Yes, really nice analog sequencer, which I use to interface with some of my older gear.
Beautiful. And of course, here's the classic TR-707 drum machine used by a lot of people in the 80s. Kind of sort of like a similar sound to the Linn drum, I would say. Very fat, very... also used in house a lot. You can do a lot with this machine. And down here, a wonderful synth, the SH1, original from the 70s.
Yes.
And this is the one oscillator version of the SH2, right? This has one oscillator? Yeah.
Exactly, yes. It does have a sub-oscillator, so obviously they split, the signal is split. But it's really good sounding. It's actually one of my favorites. You can get anything from, very kind of clicky type of stuff to even almost like, even though it's monophonic, like patch level kind of sounds. So really great sounding synth. Yeah, really nice.
Love the Echoplex. You can hear the tape spinning inside.
And it interfaces well with sequencer. So
Gotcha. Do you have it hooked up to
I do,
the audio?
actually, yes.
Okay.
I have a couple of things hooked up. I have this hooked up to the Oberkorn, which is being controlled by the 707, and then at the same time, it's also running the DFAM.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
we can see what that sounds like. Make sure it's...
Sounds good. Oh, sounds really cool. I love it how the DFM provides a little bit of almost digital sounding.
Yeah,
even though
it's yeah.
completely analog. Wow.
Yeah, I guess with the frequency modulation, it's very
Yeah.
It can be very metallic sounding.
Yes, absolutely. Another cool unit, the DFM. And then you have the Mini Brute, the original one.
Yep. So that was my foray back into analog synthesis. Or no, actually, it was my introduction to analog synthesis because the CZ 101 was my or 1000 was my first.
Yeah, it's been a while. This must have been like 10, 15 years ago already, right?
Almost probably about 10. I would say.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the baby version again.
Yes.
Micro Brute. I have one of these. I love it. Love it. All right, and then we're in serious synthesizer world. On the top, we have a drum tracks drum machine. Also, I have one of these, and it's spectacular.
Yes,
and,
it's the closest I can get to a Linn drum.
Well, but like in some ways, like it's even better for the tuning because this has a huge range of tuning capabilities. You can make it sound like a gong or like a big Japanese drum.
Yeah.
And it's got that sound of the 80s that we all like. And here, you brought this one at my studio last time. I loved it. It's basically the monophonic version of the Jupiter 4.
Yeah.
And remember, what we connected it to, I forget. We
the sequencer, the CSQ.
Oh, yeah, with the CSQ 100 or 600.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were able to make some...
Playing some, I believe it was Save a Prayer or something.
Oh, yeah, we were just messing with the sound of Save a Prayer.
Yeah.
Do you have this one hooked up? Can we
It
hear?
is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's got a really... turn it up a little bit. So that's the voice sound. It's a preset synth, but it also obviously you can, make your own sounds and actually save them. This is one of the early synths that actually had memory in it. So really, really nice. Roland, I love 70s Roland synths. And I saw this in a Depeche Mode video, and I loved all the colored buttons. And for years, I was like, "What is that?" And I was able to find one. There's a great guy based out of Japan. His name is Ko Ataki.
Oh yeah, he's well known.
I know I try to do advertising for everyone, but Ko is really wonderful because his prices are great, and he refurbishes the synths. So he replaces the caps. He does all the electronic work, and really and ships it to your door in one price. And really does really wonderful work.
It sounded gorgeous. Which effects do you have it connected to?
Oh yeah, sorry. So based on Paolo's video, I wound up getting the Zoom.
Oh yeah, we were talking about it.
Yeah. So sorry, the Zoom
MS-70
70 CDR, and that's a tape echo off the Zoom.
Wow, it sounded fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really nice unit, and it's I think you get a lot for $100 or whatever.
Yeah, for $100, really. I mean, chorus, delay, reverb, but a lot more modulation capabilities. You just have to dig under the hood and program it.
Yes, absolutely.
Super cool. And then on the bottom, again, since you like your 70s synthesizers, we have a SK40M. Sorry, CS40M.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is one of the I tried the CS50, the CS70. I don't think I've ever tried the 40M. So if you have it connected to...
Yeah, so I used to own a CS15D.
Yeah.
And preset synthesizer with a single oscillator monosynth as well. So you could use the presets or even mix with the synth on board. And just really, really sweet sounding. And I upgraded to a CS40M. I regret it. I still want that CS15 back because they sound very, very different.
Yeah, I have the baby. I have the CS5, and that's a one-off.
Which also sounds different.
Yeah, right? It sounds really cool.
So I'm on the hunt for a CS15D. Actually, I actually was texting with Ko today whether he has one coming through his shop. But this thing's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got two oscillators, but then also it has in the VCA section, it basically has, under this amplifier section, you can actually have sine waves, at least two sine waves underneath. Sorry, take my
No.
Which really adds to the low end a lot, actually. So really, really nice sounding synth.
All right, can we hear a few examples?
So really
gorgeous.
Big, you can get Moog, really heavy Moog sounds. You can get, this also has memory as well. So you can you can hear things like. So very nice.
I want one.
Plucky, really nice plucky sounds. Once again, refurbished by Ko in Japan. Really, really wonderful synth. I will never get rid of this. This one of the reasons I got this as well is I heard one of the guys from the Flaming Lips actually uses this, and which sound he does these really heavily resonant bass sounds. So,
and again, the effects we're hearing is just a little zoom pedal.
That's a little zoom pedal.
Wow.
Actually, really gives it even more depth than it has already.
Yeah, so I want one of these, so I'm going to start looking for it. It's duophonic.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So you can put it in unison, or you can turn off unison, and it will be duophonic.
Gotcha. And as far as the factory memories, can you save your own, or
you can? Okay. There are no. When I got this, there were no factory memories. So that's just something that's kind of lost to history, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Back from the 70s. I guess it was tape based. Cassette tape based where you would load the patches, but I have not been successful in finding them. So if anyone is able to find them, please let me know.
Please let us know.
But I'm more than happy to make my own patches and have fun that way.
Wonderful.
So I've made all of these basically. Yeah.
Wow, you did a great job.
It's just a bass monster, so. And the duophonic. Really, really nice sounding.
Gorgeous sound. All right. Okay, and finally on this end here we have a Juno. That's a 6. That's not a 60, right? That's a 6.
That's a 6.
Yeah. I want to scoot by.
Yeah, I'll go by. Oops, I gotta turn this. This is still triggering. There we go.
All right, it's basically the same thing as the 6. It just doesn't have the patch memories, but you know, it's so easy to program, come up with good sounds on the Junos that you kind of don't even need them. But
yeah. And this, I mean, the nice part I also like about this synth is it's very simple. The architecture is very simple. Obviously, it's very easy to understand, but it's also easy to repair. So this is why this is one synth I will definitely hold on to, because it has just wonderful, very rich sounds that you hear all over early 80s stuff,
totally.
as you've addressed.
Yeah, I got the 60
in
myself.
your videos. You've definitely talked about that. And being able to clock the arpeggiator with outside sources is a lot of fun. And this will do basses, it will do pads, it will do, and then of course it has the famous chorus.
Chorus,
right?
yeah.
So the chorus, really, really rich sounding chorus. You can actually, you know, the trick that everyone learned when they had one of these is you can hold down both buttons, you know, and get a much more.
Yeah, really deep.
Ooh, I think I'm very clicky here. And that also is going through the CDR70. So.
Yep. Wonderful synth. And then on the bottom we have, this was my first analog synth that I bought in 1986 or 1987. Used, I still remember. I went to someone's house and I bought the Polished, and I've sold it many years ago, and I want to get it again, even though I have the Trident, which is like the 2 oscillator version. There's something about the Polished, the ensemble effects, that just something. What can you tell us about the Polished?
So this originally, a friend of mine actually bought. This is not his. I wound up rebuying this once again from Ko in Japan, who refurbished it. But my friend, when we played in the synth band back in the 80s, and we had our 505 CZ1000 sequential circuit 6-track, and the Chord Poly 6.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what we were doing, but we knew that if we fiddled with the knobs, we could always come up with something really cool. And even for a single oscillator synth, I think the effects section really, you know, helps bring out the phaser, the ensemble, really helps bring out a lot of these sounds. The arpeggiator is great. This was meant to compete, right, with the
Juno 6,
with the Juno 6 and the Juno 60.
Yeah.
So you know, Korg is trying to up its game. The 106, you know, came out afterwards. I think that was kind of some of the competition at that time, but I think I like this better than the 106, and I still like the 106, don't get me wrong, but this has kind of a darker sound to it.
Oh yeah, that SSM chip, yeah, it's just, it's got that sound.
Yeah, versus the 106, which is another wonderful machine, which I have owned in the past.
All right, and can we hear some of it?
Sure, I don't know what's up, let's see. Yeah, so there are factory patches available that you can get down offline, but I load them with other things because there's a lot of like organs and things which is not something that I'm particularly interested in. So I found this really wonderful collection of patches, which is just more kind of not supposed to sound like an instrument we know.
Okay.
So
all right.
Well, that is an organ.
That's an organ.
So I apologize for that one. So you can get some really nice string sounds, you can get plucky stuff, you can get a lot of nice bass sounds, so really, a really, really great machine.
Yeah, I have great memories of me as a kid playing with the Polysys. I remember I used to play with inverse envelope, set up the inverse envelope and the oscillator and just let it run and add effects, and I was just in heaven. I was able to produce really good tunes. But yeah, the strings on these things are incredible.
So yeah, we used it to play our Joy Division covers.
Yeah, but it's going to be perfect
sound.
to cover the string sound of the ARP. Yeah, these are the sounds of the Polysys that I remember.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Really warm.
All right, and then on the bottom, this got to be another 70s. Yep, it's
Yeah.
70s SH3A.
Right, so this is the Roland SH3A, and I guess Roland got sued, right, for having a Moog type ladder
Oh,
filter
okay, yeah.
in the SH3. So they got sued, so they had to change it, and then the SH3A, I think, if I have my history correct, came out after. And some people consider this to be additive synthesis as well as subtractive. Because it has kind of the organ style drawbars, where you can kind of add the different footage for for the different sounds. And the cool part about it is you can actually combine at each footage. You can combine either a sawtooth, a pulse, or a square. So that's really nice to have those different combinations at different footages. But the thing where the thing that really makes this thing excel is actually the modulation capabilities.
Yeah.
So across the top, you can see that there are a number of LFOs which can control various things from the vibrato to the filter to the VCA as well, or the amplifier, and really create kind of this really complex mixture of tones. And you can even combine the multiple LFOs together to create some really bizarre stuff.
Wonderful. And I see the sampler section. Is that basically sample and hold on the top? Or?
Yeah, so this is a sample and hold section. So if you want to, have your kind of crazy R2D2 kind of sounds, as well as other uses, but that's what I tend to associate it with. A really good sample and hold.
Gotcha. Can we hear some of it?
Sure. If it's on, let's see. Oh yeah, so I was doing some more kind of ethereal. So back in the 70s, they used to refer to, controlling the filter as growl.
Yeah.
So get some really... So it basically just kind of controls the level at which the filter is being modulated.
Outstanding. Such a fat sound.
Yeah, it's a really nice...
Beautiful.
It's a very simple board. Once again, this is also from Ko in Japan. And he also does mods as well. So we actually modded it for CV in and gate in.
Oh, very
So
useful.
I can control this with, some of the sequencing, the analog solutions, or one of the little new Korg analog sequencers as well.
Very, very useful. And here again, I see another 4-track recorder here.
So it's the original, not the original one I owned, but at least the original model I used to have. So this is kind of where it all started. My love of analog tape.
The classic Porta 1 from Tascam. All right, one thing, I think we're almost done, right, with the studio tour.
Yeah.
You have so much cool stuff. I'm sure we're missing something, but thank you so much already for showing all of this to us. So, one last thing that I want to ask you, and I'm going to steal this idea from you. It's the shoe racks to manage the cables, because this is a common problem we all have.
Yes, so I stole this from someone else, actually.
Okay.
So I can't remember whether it was on Gear Sluts or one of those web pages where they're kind of asking about, or bulletin boards where they're talking about how do you store your stuff. And cables for me, I mean, it was just horrible. This is like entropy right here. I mean, cables tie onto themselves.
You've seen my studio. I have like a serpent's nest of them.
Exactly.
Doesn't want to go away.
Becomes tangled, and it's just the universe doing what it does. So this has been very helpful for kind of organizing some of my cables.
Very cool. All right, we'll conclude. I'll do a quick last run through of the studio, and then one other management there. It's a beautiful, beautiful studio. And back to Peter. Well, thank you so much, Peter. And Peter, if you want to, do you have a website and or YouTube channels that our viewers should check out?
I don't actually. I haven't quite dipped into the world of YouTube
social
yet.
media.
Yeah, social media yet. Maybe in the future, but for right now, I will just continue to enjoy Synthmania, as well as a lot of other people out there who put together content and put it out there for my enjoyment and others.
All right, Peter. Thank you so much again for having us over.
Thanks, Paolo.
All right, thank you.